Hey guys, what is going on? This is Pantsar Dragon, and today we'll be doing a little video on the things to look out for in patch 6.11. Now in this patch there's a lot of champions being nerfed, and there's not going to be any new OP champions except maybe one, or two, or maybe even three. I'm not sure right now, I'm kind of out of it, but there are going to be a few Alawi changes that are very interesting and it might make her OP. Anyways, with all that being said, let's get started. Alright, so first up we're going to be talking about Azir. So Azir can no longer use his W to take down towers, and his ultimate duration is being lowered to 3 seconds from 5, 6, and 7. He also no longer grants movement speed when he walks through a wall or any of his allies. So I thought this was an interesting change. I don't think it'll do a lot to him, since the power comes from his sand soldiers, and I don't think the W nerf is too big, as he can take down towers quite easily with his auto attack since he has so much attack speed. And the R nerf isn't as big as you think it is, because usually what people use the wall for is for utility and peeling for himself or doing the insect, and you know, just basically for the CC. And the wall no longer granting 20% movement speed, I don't know how big of a deal that was, but you didn't really notice that it gave 20% movement speed, and you probably didn't even know that, especially if you aren't an Azir player. Now his current win rate in all ranks is 49%, but with the changes coming to him, I feel like his win rate will go down by 1.5%. And you're probably wondering, will he still be viable? Probably, as he still does tons of damage, and he's definitely powerful in the right hands. But I thought it was really interesting to see that his W couldn't be used on towers anymore, so I just wanted to point that out. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Echo. So it looks like Echo's going to get his ass kicked a little bit, especially Tank Echo, as his passive cannot trigger every 3 seconds anymore, it's now 5 seconds. That's huge, even for AP Echo, which they're trying to emphasize, but especially for Jungle Echo, who relies on that passive to be procced a lot for some damage. This change definitely sucks for any kind of Echo. But you can see the AP ratio on his Q is going up by 0.1, but the base damage when it's coming back is going down by 20 at all levels. So it's definitely a nerf even to AP Echo, because he's going to need 200 AP to make up for that lost damage. And the W stun is going down by 0.5 seconds, which is, you know, actually pretty big. And the base damage on his R is being reduced by 50 at all ranks, but to make up for that lost damage, you're going to need 250 AP, which is actually a lot. And overall, all of these changes might actually just destroy Echo, to be honest. And so the current win rate he has in patch 6.10 in all elos is going to be 51.33%. But after this change, I'm going to make a bold prediction and say he's going to drop a whole 4% after this patch. Maybe just top Tank Echo, but to be honest, I feel like it kind of destroys him. Maybe AP Echo will go down by like 2 or 3%, but yeah, these changes don't really look too hot for him. Next up, we're going to be talking about Alawi, and there's going to be a lot of shit happening to Alawi. Alright, so we're going to read this a little slowly. So basically, passive didn't get changed. But in our Q, instead of increasing the AD ratio on it, it'll just increase the total damage of your tentacles. And if you're wondering, yes, the tentacles actually have a base damage on it. I never knew that. And it goes up by 10 per level. And in my opinion, it definitely is a buff, since now you don't really have to rely on building some attack damage and just kind of rely on some base damage. And now her W. This is going to be the most interesting part of the changes she is receiving. Alright, so now her W is doing maximum % health damage. That's good, because, you know, her W is actually really useless if there's no tentacles around her, but now at least she can be doing some damage. And also, there's an AD ratio on it that says 2% per 100 AD. Not bonus AD, but just AD. And she has actually really high base AD, so eventually, you will be getting that 2% more damage. And also adding to this, she won't be as useless if she doesn't have any tentacles around her. At least now she'll be doing some damage with her W. And the slow duration on her E is going to be 1.5 seconds, but now it doesn't decay. And in my opinion, it's kind of a buff. So basically, I feel like her whole kit got buffed, and it's hard to tell if she's going to be good or not. And right now, her current win rate in all elos is going to be 45%. That's pretty horrible, and it's right beside Corki for some reason. But after the patch is released, I predict a 3 or 4% increase on her win rate. The reason I say this is because I feel like she's still definitely super reliant on having her tentacles around, and will still probably be useless if there's nothing around, so that definitely is one of her counter plays. And yeah, I feel like smart people will just not fight around her tentacles. So she might not be viable, but who knows? You know, I've definitely been wrong before. You know, Malazahar and Swain, oh fuck, that was embarrassing. But anyways, on to the next champion, and we're going to be talking about Kindred. I mean, yeah, actually, because I don't really like her being at the top of the jungle food chain. And even though she was pretty low, she was always banned and you could never get her. But anyways, talking about the changes, getting stacks of her passive now increases the Q damage by 5, but her base damage on her Q is going down by, oh, holy cow, a shit ton. 45 less damage at rank 5. And you use this ability like 5 times in a team fight, you know, probably even more, but I just randomly generated that number. But yeah, that's a big base damage number nerf. Also talking about more base damage, her E's base damage is going down by, I'm going to say 20 here, because you do leave this skill at rank 1 until you're level 14, so it is going to be basically that number. And the slow is going down by 20%, which is a little big. And also her passive now marks dragon, blue, and red camps. The blue and red camps aren't really too much to think about, since the enemy jungler will probably take it and it'll just reset somewhere else. But the dragon one can definitely be a problem for Kindred, as there are times where she does not want to take the dragon and the enemy jungler won't take it either, so might not reset. And thus, that is kind of a nerf if you ever get a dragon, you know, marked. But overall, her Q and E did get nerfed, and you know, right now her win rate in all elos is going to be 51.64%. It's definitely higher in higher elo, and she is definitely a must-ban champion if you're playing in diamond or above. And when these changes go out, I feel like her win rate is going to be going down by 3%. And I definitely feel like she's going to be a champion who won't be permabanned anymore, but maybe still viable after the patch. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Lucian. So the bonus AD scaling is lowered at later levels, but one change I found really interesting was the range on his Qs being lowered by 200, down from 1000 and 100, and I feel like this change is somewhat crucial for the laning phase, as it does allow him to get some free harass onto the enemy, but now it's going to be a little bit harder, and Lucian players are definitely going to have to get used to this, but I don't think it's going to change his teamfight presence. You know, his Q's probably going to still hit people, and also his W's range got reduced by 100 for some reason, I don't know why, but okay, I'll take it. And his win rate in all elos is going to be 51.72%. It's actually higher in higher elo, but with this change coming in, I feel like his win rate is going to drop by like 1.5%. He's still probably going to be really good in high elo because of the BBC build and how strong it is on him. But yeah, the Q change can definitely mess some people up for the first little bit, but maybe after a while his win rate will go up by like 0.5% or something. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Velkoz. So the Q slow is going up by 0.4 per level instead of 0.25 per level. Nice, that seems pretty decent. But now the changes coming to his R, ooh, those seem really good. Like the base damage goes down a bit, especially at later ranks, but now his ultimate applies his passive, which is actually a pretty powerful passive right now if you can actually trigger it. And the thing is, let's say you have 2 stacks on someone, and then you activate your ultimate. So 1/3 of your ultimate's damage is going to be magic damage, and then all of a sudden true damage happens, plus your passive procs. So right now, Velkoz is going to be more consistent with his true damage, and you know what's really funny? It's like he didn't really get a rework at all. The only things that changed was now he has his passive and his ultimate doing true damage, and yeah, it's basically kind of weird to see that Riot's calling this rework a actual major rework. And also, all these buffs coming to Velkoz, I feel like someone has a hard-on for him at Riot. Like someone definitely wants to see him being played in competitive play, and you know his win rate in all elos is going to be 50.84%. But after these changes happen, I feel like he's going to get a 2% more increase on his win rate, and I feel like he's going to be like a meta champion maybe after this patch, just because he's going to be a little bit more consistent with his passive. So yeah, Velkoz may be the only new OP in the next patch. Alright, so next up we're going to be talking about Trinity Force, and there are big changes coming to it. As you can see, it now builds out of a Stinger instead of a Zeal. The total price of it is being reduced by 70 gold, but the attack speed is increased to 40% from 15%, and the cooldown reduction is increased to 20% instead of 10%, because you have a Stinger now. But there is no more crit chance, which only certain champions care about, like Yasuo, AD carries, but people who don't really have a lot of AD don't really care too much about it. And you know, champions like Aurelia, Jax, you know, these champions who have some on hit skill will definitely like this change, and you might see those champions appearing in the future, as those type of champions kind of fell off the map after Trinity Force got nerfed in the preseason, and also the Rage Blade being nerfed, but after this you might see a meta change. Alright, so I'm going to be talking about one more change, and that's going to be the Wit's End, and you can see here that the price is being lowered by 300 gold. Also, it builds out of a Negatron now, and also I don't really have any clips of it because I've actually never used the item this season. But the thing is, people stopped building this item after it got nerfed in the preseason because it was just extremely cost efficient and it wasn't worth to buy it on any champion. But now, 300 gold less, I can definitely see this item being used on hit builds like Kog'Maw, even Aurelia against magic damage. To be honest, there's not actually a lot of champions who would think about using this item, especially junglers, because since there's no more Devour, which does magic damage, and now you have this Blood Razor, which does physical damage, it won't really help with champions like Master Yi, or any champions who really do a lot of physical damage, but maybe for someone like Shyvana. And I think it's definitely a good buy, but you probably won't see it often on too much champions, except maybe Kog'Maw or Aurelia. But anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For my last patch video, I asked you guys what is your favorite change in 6.10, and here are some of my favorite answers. For a chance to be featured in a future video, make sure to comment below on your favorite change for patch 6.11. My favorite change is actually the changes coming to Alawi. I'm actually really excited to try her out in this patch. But yeah, anyways, if you guys did like this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you didn't, make sure to subscribe. Anyways, I am Pencil Dragon, and I'll see you guys next time.